when I was a young child, we actually starting in around 1962, my stepfather had just built a house in Cornish, New Hampshire, just up the hill from the Saint-Gaudens studio. And so the Saint-Gaudens studio was kind of like our park. We went there all the time for events and square dancing, and I became really entranced by the sculpture of Augustus Saint-Gaudens. It's really hauntingly beautiful. And I still remember the Ward Memorial and others of the statues that were there, the great statues of the Civil War soldiers marching. And so I had a very early exposure to Augustus Saint-Gaudens. I even knew his name and could associate him with sculpture at probably the age of 5 or 6. And so it's kind of funny that many years later I was in charge of taking care of the sculptures of Augustus Saint-Gaudens. We worked on the regilding of the Sherman Monument at Grand Army Plaza, and worked on a number of other Augustus Saint-Gaudens statues in New York City. And it was in that job I came to understand the enormity of the value, the extraordinary value of the collection that sat outside New York City parks. And one of the works by Saint-Gaudens, the Admiral Farragut, was standing in Madison Square Park. And we were asked if we could lend it to the Metropolitan Museum of Art they were doing a retrospective on the work of Augustus Saint-Gaudens. And they brought it indoors, and then they said, well, you know, it's really a shame that you keep it outdoors. It would be much safer if it were indoors. So why don't we just take it and we'll give you a copy? And my boss at the time, the Parks Commissioner, Henry Stern, said, absolutely not. This is a public monument. It belongs in the public. It doesn't belong in the museum. So it wasn't really a compromise. We said, look, it belongs outside. If you'd like to make a copy, you can. We'll give you the privilege of making a copy, but we're not going to give you the original. And we did a major restoration of the Augustus Saint-Gaudens monument at the time. So we were able to convince the curators of American sculpture, the American Museum of Natural History, that it would be in good hands even if they left it outside.